All right, getting the video out a little bit late tonight, but that's all right. We had busyness, all right? Kids, family comes first. So anyways, want to talk about what I think is the missing piece for the Detroit Lions. I thought they played really well against the Rams, but they're getting a key player back. We're going to talk about who that is. If you haven't done so yet and you watch this video or you watch this channel a lot, my name's Craig. Me and my buddy Chris, we have this channel. We've been doing it for like 4 years now, something like that. Love talking Lions football and really, really do. And we like kind of taking it from different angles and just talking football, talking about the Detroit Lions and what a fun time it is to be a Lions fan. So the guy I want to talk about, the missing piece to the puzzle, is the missing piece that's been the missing piece to our defense since the Dan Campbell era took over, and that is a man by the name of DJ Reader. All right, he settles in right in the middle. He is a nose tackle by trade, and I want to tell you why I believe this is so important. So often you hear about the desire and the need for a pass rush. All right. DJ Reader's not a huge pass rush guy. We can get into the numbers here in a little bit. That's fine. All right. But he's not a huge pass rush guy. What he is just a flat out monster in the run game. And he is a guy who simply overpowers people. That's what he does. All right. He overpowers people. But his pass rush grades have been good. All right. His career high watermark was his last year with the Texans. He had 11 sacks. And then in the last 3 years with the Bengals, he's had 5, 6, and 4 sacks. He can get to the quarterback. He just doesn't have all that amazing finishing speed. But what he does has is the ability to push the pocket. I think so often what we talk about, and I'm going to try and show you the depth chart here to try and get it. Think about this as one end. You have Aiden Hutchinson on the end. You have Marcus Davenport on the other. So often we say the pass rush needs to come from the outside, right? It's not true. In fact, if you watch the Bears Titans game, it was the interior that had Caleb Williams playing so terrible. It was the interior pass rush. All right, and in this video, we're going to talk about both the pass rush and the run and what he does and why it works with what we want to do with our defense, if I can be completely honest. All right, so you think it has to come from the outside. Here's the thing. I would make the argument that right now, as it stands, the 4 best pass rushers on this team, we'll go 5 if you want, are Aiden Hutchinson, by far and away, number 1. I would say your next 2 or 3 are pretty close. Aleem McNeil, Marcus Davenport, and Levi Onwuzurike. All right? And then I would go Wingo is actually already probably the next. So what you see here, the theme here is that your defensive tackles, McNeil, Onwuzurike, Wingo, even Pascal can move on the inside. These are guys that when given one-on-one with a guard, they can win that matchup the vast majority of the time, just like Aiden Hutchinson will win it one-on-one too. DJ Reader is a guy you need to double team. If you put just a guard on him or just the center, he will push him back into the quarterback's lap on pass rushes. He absolutely will. He would just push the guard or the center right back into the quarterback's lap. That makes him uncomfortable. This will help Aiden Hutchinson because the quarterback will have to try and get out of the pocket around the outside, and that's when Hutchinson, with his leverage from the outside, can go and get a sack. Same with Marcus Davenport. It is extremely helpful. What it does is it creates one-on-one matchups against other people. Also, if you have people that you need to double team or at least chip or pay attention to, it makes blitzing that much easier. Because if there's 4 rushing linemen and you feel like you need to give 2 linemen to one, or I'm sorry, if there's 4 rushing linemen and you feel like you need to give 2 offensive linemen to 1 rushing lineman, then all of a sudden you have 5 linemen engaged on 4 guys, then you're blitzing and it's easier to find a hole. All right, it just is because guys have to be looking on both sides. And if you leave a guard or a tackle or a center to pick up the blitz, well, then you have one-on-one matchups everywhere else. And that can become really hectic when you have multiple players who are good. But it's not just in the passing game. I think everybody thought about it in the running game. I just wanted to give you an idea of why he'd be so good in the passing game because he still can overpower people. He still can command double teams. It allows guys like McNeil, Onwuzurike, and Wingo to wreak havoc. And if you leave DJ Reader one-on-one, he's going to wreak havoc as well. All right, but this is obviously good in the run game because, again, if you're going to be running, you need to devote 2 bodies to DJ Reader. That's simply how it goes. And so you got to devote 2. That means McNeil can have a heyday. Pecco, Onwuzurike, Wingo, Pascal, whoever's playing next to him is going to get all these one-on-one opportunities. That is why it is such a massive win to have this guy back in. We didn't have a player that I think they felt they needed to double team in the run game when we were playing the Rams. I just don't think they did. All right? They did in the passing game. Now you're going to have trouble because no matter what you do, you're going to have to give double attention to a player. Hutchinson in the passing game, Reader in the running game. Now, this is even better news because we didn't blitz a ton against the Rams, at least based on my eye test. I haven't seen the number and percentage of blitzes and stuff like that, but I felt like we just dropped back into zone a lot. And there was short passing game. You saw Stafford make completion after completion, 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. I was actually getting frustrated, but the reality is maybe that's kind of what we wanted to do. And we wanted to let our secondary sit back and make Stafford get the ball out of his hands quickly, knowing that our line could force the issue. In fact, defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn said this on Rams' success in the short passing game. He said, we actually did what we wanted to do and force this to be a finesse game for him to pass. We knew he was going to pass for some yards. I take that from Coach Belichick. Make a team left-handed and force them to do something else. And we did that. All right, so what is the something else? All right, they took away the run. They took away the deep passing game. Not easy combination to do, but they did it. And by doing that, it made them dink and dunk down the way. He said, and we did that. The thing is, he was making some dink and dunk passes. Oh, that's funny. I hadn't actually read this, which you were talking about on the 8-for-8 completions. The thing that we have to do is when we have these zone coverages, we have to be able to match a whole lot better. And that's something we've worked on. We worked on it yesterday in practice. All right. So what they're saying there is, yeah, you're going to go 8-for-8, and you should not against a zone. But if you get more pressure from the defensive line, that's going to mess up a zone play, even if it's short across the middle, right? If you are going to have a tighter zone and playing a better matchup zone rather than just playing an area but playing a matchup, that is going to be better. And he's talking about how they have to be able to match a whole lot better. Maybe it's getting your defense in a pre-read and knowing what the offense is doing or having a good idea that you're not sitting like we saw multiple times where there's a linebacker in front of Nakua or there's a linebacker in front of Cooper Kupp. Sometimes motion does that. I get it. But then the linebacker has to hand him off, and the only player playing against him is a safety that's already 10, 15 yards downfield. Yeah, it's 5 yards all day. Dink and dunk. But then we closed it down. If I'm talking about the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield is not as patient of a man as Matt Stafford. Baker Mayfield is not going to get the ball out of his hands as fast as Matthew Stafford. So if we're taking away the deep threat of Mike Evans, then I think playing a similar defense against them actually isn't a terrible idea. I don't love it because the offense has the ball longer, but I would trust Matthew Stafford and the offensive scheme of Sean McVay to dink and dunk down the field more consistently than I would Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, even though the Bucs are absolutely loaded with talent. And so the Bucs, because of all their talent, it's the same. The Rams had Kupp. They had Nakua, right? There's a lot of talent there. I said the Rams, right? The Bucs, they have Godwin. They have Evans. They have Rashad White. I like Cade Otton at tight end. So they have these players. Even McMillan outsnapped both of the wide receivers in the first game. So you have all these players that it's like, yeah, maybe you don't want to go man-to-man all the time. I would expect another heavy dose of zone trying to eliminate passes intermediate and deep. And I think Reader being back in the lineup will help even allow more resources to be spent in the passing game because we'll naturally be better against the run on the interior because he's there. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.